Brad, Labuschagn's not looked like it's been fluent or in control. How do you eventually sum up that innings and that dismissal?
I think that if you have a look at the dismissal, he just got a little bit lazy in his front foot. He's got his pre movement where he goes back and across, but he just didn't take that second step and cover the line of the ball, and just played with his hands. And in the end, it was a very good catch at first slip. But times were tough for Marnus. The one thing he did do, he guts it. He got through, and Australia had the luxury of not having to score too many runs because they're so far in front of the game. But he was done over by some quality fast bowling this morning.
So Brad, just want to ask you about Labuschagne. Has he always batted like this? Because clearly standing outside the batting crease, there's that trigger movement that doesn't take him inside the batting crease, just around the line, and then he wants to get forward. Has that been his technique right through, playing in England, for example?
Yeah, I think what he's trying to do there is he's just trying to take LBW out of the equation. Another thing also, if you have a look at the popping crease, there's a lot of worn holes there. I think he could have also been trying to get away from that, but I have seen him in county cricket use his tactic quite a lot to get out at the bowlers and take LB out of the game. But what you got to remember here, you got three high-class fast bowlers, so they found the edge today.
So he would change his technique, right? It's not something that he'll do every game.
No, it's not. It would just be on conditions. And with the way the ball was moving around, he wanted to get out and take LB out of the equation. The one thing Marnus does do really well is leave off length. And with going a little bit further out of his crease, he could leave off length. And it's just a tactic, I think, just for this wicket. And I think you might see it a lot, actually, during the Ashes when he's facing guys like Jimmy Anderson and Ollie Robinson.
Brad makes a very interesting point, and I remember my playing days in England where he's saying that to avoid that the rough that you get, we talk about the bowler creating the rough, but there is a rough that batters create.
Sure.
And during our time, I remember Graham Gooch used to be very sort of fussed about where his legs to mark, or some people do it out of habit. So eventually there would be a kind of a dent there. Yeah. And your stance is so important. So if you stood there, so very often your toes would be sort of going down, and your balance would go like this. If you go back, you're standing outside the leg stump. So sometimes you have to work around that area and not be exactly where you want to be. So that's a little nuance that I just remembered, and it's a good thing Brad pointed that out, because that is something you get a lot in England before it gets filled up.
So your only remedy to that is standing further down and not moving within. You can't change your guard then and stand
exactly.
up. So you stand further down.
And then hopefully during the session they sort of layer it out and make it even, because that can be actually quite irksome.
Very good. Umesh Yadav, 2 wickets, his first 2 in the test match. Yes, Brad, you'll get some of these from Sanjay every now and then.
Outstanding.
Umesh Yadav would be very happy with the wickets. He is the man under the in the fire, you'd think, with the selection call with Ashwin. But the wicket of Khwaja yesterday, and a good one for Labuschagne, a set Labuschagne.
Yes, one of the fullest ball that he bowled we saw on the pitch map. But having said that, all these guys have changed character in the second innings. Mohammad Shami is not trying to blast batters out. Siraj is the only one who's coming in with that same spirit that you expect. Umesh Yadav too, just bowling in the channel. And I thought he bowled well. He's got that natural seam action too. Within the limits and the kind of pressure they're facing, the bowlers have done really well. But Umesh Yadav, Shardul has hardly bowled. So India now realizing 4 seamers a bit too much. Jadeja has bowled the most overs, I think 18. Most with another seam bowler. So I think
yes, 18 for Jadeja and Siraj.
On day 3. And it's a 5-day test match. So India will be once again thinking, we picked a bowling attack for day 1.
All right, fair enough. Let's just talk about the Cam Green innings, shall we, Brad? Because you felt like, well, this is the license, and the situation of the game allows Cam Green to come and just blaze away. Now, is that down to Cam Green deciding to play a different way? Even the dismissal in some ways seems to have us wondering what Cam Green could have done anything on that.
Yeah, it was an interesting innings. I think one thing we've got to remember with Cam Green, he's learning on the job. He's still very young to test cricket, but today he had an opportunity to really take the game on. He plays his best when he is looking to score runs, and with Australia being so far in front of the game, he only had to get a couple away and push that total up to 400 as quick as they can, and probably then you play India out of the game. But his Australian innings, a lot of it's got to go. A lot has got to go to India also. The way they shut him down, but I thought he could have been a little bit more proactive and try to move the game, especially how far Australia are in front of the game.
He's quite right. He is a young player learning on the job. I wonder whether that first innings dismissal, the way he got out early in the innings, playing a somewhat, not a loose shot, but yeah, a little sort of freedom in the way he played. So maybe young man thinking this is Test cricket, the ultimate test. I'm going to go out there and bat like a proper Test batter. And he's got a wonderful defense. We've seen that. So he's got the fundamentals and he put that to good use. But clearly he will also know that he was just a bit too defensive. Just one way, blocking and everything was off the front foot. Wasn't looking to score square of the pitch. But young man just sort of maybe reacting to what happened in the first inning. And that's the effect of T20 cricket as well. The other effect, the extreme change that sometimes you're likely to make after having such a... been such a brilliant player.
Yeah, it was a long innings as well. I mean, he faced 95 balls. I'm just thinking, Brad, how important it would have been for who he was batting with to sort of help him and decide how he should be playing. He batted a long time with Labuschagne, then with Alex Carey. Just wonder if they had a role to play in helping Cam Green understand what gears to play.
Yeah, the one thing we've seen a lot from him, he's a quick learner, Cameron Green, so he'll be his harshest critic. He'll go away and have a look at the way he played. And there's two ways to look at it also. He was probably trying to bat in his head as long as he can and play India right out of the game and take some time away from the game. But he's naturally an aggressive player. As you said, he faced 90 balls and maybe with Jadeja bowling into that rough, he maybe could have taken a few more risks and tried to move the game a little bit quicker.
Yeah, very good from Jadeja though. Left arm over, Ravi Shastri has called that as well, that for the right-hander also it may be a threatening sort of line of attack.
Yeah, that is why Jadeja is handy as a lone spinner, and we said that before the match as well, that he's not somebody who will only trouble the right-handers. Ashwin, there's disparity in his record versus right-handers and left-handers. Jadeja, very close, his strike rate, average. This is what he does. Against left-handers, there's that rough. There was one ball that pitched in the rough to Alex Carey, so that rough is coming into play. And this is something he doesn't do too much, bowling to the right-hander into the rough. And that would motivate him to do more, that wicket of Cameron Green. But Jadeja is handy. Once the pitch gets a little dry, there's always a rough, always handy to be a spinner in Test match cricket.
जिस पे नाम सिर्फ एक का हो
लेकिन हो पूरे देश के नाम
उस चीज को हाउ डू आई डिस्क्राइब इट इस जर्सी के लिए
मेरे फीलिंग समझाना
इम्पॉसिबल है
पर इसे पहन के
I feel just one thing, impossible
इज नथिंग